Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Book Discussion. Today, actually, rather than discussing a book, I would actually discuss a series that I recently completed. So, the name of the series is The Trials of Apollo. Without further ado, let's get on with it. So, first of all, as I said, this is not just a single book, it is a series consisting of five books. And the books are the first book is called The Hidden Oracle. The second book is called, I guess, The Dark Prophecy. The third book is The Burning Maze. The fourth book on this series is The Tyrant's Tomb. And the fifth book is called The Tower of Nero. So this five book basically consists this whole series, which is on Apollo. As you can understand from the name of the series, The Trials of Apollo. So just to discuss, very briefly discuss about what the subject matter of this series. So it's actually is a mythological fiction. So I am not sure whether you are familiar with a mythological fiction. So usually you already have some validated source of myths, right? It could be usually it is again some text where historians usually say like, okay, most of the myths actually originated from those texts. But taking those stories of myth or mythology, people can actually create their own fiction stories. So this is basically an extension of Percy Jackson, which is very famous. The writer is Rick Riordan. You might have heard about Rick Riordan. He's a very famous mythology fiction writer, and most of his works actually basically on Greek mythology, Roman mythology. He has also written books on Egyptian mythology and Norse mythology as well. So this is the Percy Jackson series that is very a popular very franchisee actually, because it doesn't only have several books. Actually, it has two series, and the Trials of Apollo can be thought of as the third series on Percy Jackson series. But it has also has its own movies, though I don't like the two movies that were made, but that's a separate issue. Anyway, on to the subject matter. So this the whole series basically revolves around Apollo, who you might know is the Greek sun god. So he is one of the Olympians. So Olympians are the new age gods of Greek, who basically conquered after Titans were dethroned by Zeus and his brothers. So their new base of power basically becomes Olympus, and that's why they were called Olympians. So Apollo is one of the 12 Olympians, and he is not only the sun god; he is actually also the god of poetry, god of health, god of music, lots of things. But this series basically goes on to like this, like you have to read some of the previous series, the Heroes of Olympus series, which basically is kind of a amalgamation of both Greek and Roman mythology. But if you even do know just a little bit of context, it would go well. It's not like it's a very strict prerequisite. It's not a very strict prerequisite. If you even know just a little bit of context, you can carry on. And so the basically the book starts with Apollo being mortal. So Zeus, the king of gods, the head Olympian, you might say, he basically punished Apollo for a few things that he thought that Apollo did. And as of the punishment, basically Zeus sent Apollo to Earth, or the mortal plane, and Apollo lost most of his godly powers, and basically have to now basically navigate through the dangerous mortal world without his godly powers. Whereas there's a very rising threat of a very powerful enemy, which is in this series. The enemy is basically three Roman emperors, who even in history who are known for their cruelty, and it was shown like, okay, they somehow survived and became minor gods by siphoning off some power. Anyway, so the story itself, if you're interested in mythology, this might be right to your alley, right? Because Rick Riordan is a fantastic writer. First of all, Rick Riordan writes mythology in a fashion that you would actually want to read that. But apart from that, the story actually have a very nice progression, nice character building, because Apollo, as most of the Greek gods are aware, is was very arrogant, just completely self-obsessed, and there are a lot of qualities that isn't so good, right? If you actually read Greek mythology, you would see that the gods there are not perfect. They are more akin to, like, they do have human qualities which sometimes are good, sometimes are bad, like even jealousy, anger, things like that. If you read Greek mythology, you would understand that their gods are way far from actually being a good god. But even then, the gods help humans in a lot of quests, in a lot of scenarios, events when they think that something evil might actually occur. And in this whole series, Apollo, you get to see a transition in the Apollo character in all the five books, where at first he was just concerned with, okay, I was punished by my dad, Zeus, and basically how can I get back to my godlyhood, right? How can I just get back my godly powers? And that's the only thing that was on his mind. But later on, as the story progresses, and he was basically became a servant of a demigod. So a demigod is basically who have at least one godly parent. Like there could be one parent who is a god, and the other one could be a mortal. So they are called demigod in mythological fashion. So he was basically became a servant of a demigod called Meg Macafre in this story, who is basically a daughter of Demeter. Demeter is the god of harvest in Greek mythology. Anyway, so and these two are the basically central characters, and not only there's a character arc, there's a character building, but Riordan have also done something which I have not seen any in a children's book. Is he has talked about abusive home, or what is it like if you are raised in an abusive home, and how can you actually, I wouldn't say you can actually get out of that very easily, but what are the things that happen, what are the dilemmas, the contradictions of your thoughts, what that goes through your mind when you actually is kind of again face that situation. So I would say it's actually kind of very mature in terms of how he has written, how he has presented the whole story. Obviously, just the backdrop, you can think of it as a child story, but I would say it's not a child story, because it has lots of depth. And for if you want, like, whether I would recommend it or not, I would obviously recommend it. Like, I loved the whole series. There might be some parts of a particular book that I can say, okay, it's not that, I would say, not page turning kind of a thing, page turner kind of a thing. But even then, as a whole, the whole series, I almost completed in a few couple of weeks, basically, and it was a great experience actually going through all the five books. So if you are interested in mythological reading, so you might a lot of you might be familiar with Amish Tripathi, or say in India there are a few other people who actually write mythological fiction. So even if you are not familiar with it, if you just like mythology for what it is, you can actually read it. If you're not familiar with Greek mythology, I would actually recommend you to start reading Rick Riordan's first foray into Greek mythology, which is the Percy Jackson series, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. It is also a 5 book series. I would actually recommend you to read that as well, because Rick Riordan books are so well written. Rick Riordan has written it so I would say so fluently, so lucidly, that you would actually get a very good good introduction on Greek mythology, on all the characters, all the events of Greek mythology. So anyway, the book review is not on that series, but on the Trials of Apollo. And as I said, you should read it because there are lots of things. There is drama, there is action, there is wittiness because Rick Riordan has a very witty kind of a humor in his writing. So there's witty humor there, and there's beautiful character arcs, and there's also mythology. So I like my mythological fiction, mythological readings. So I loved the book. So hopefully you would also read all the 5 books and you would also find it as amusing as myself. So until next time, keep learning, guys. See you in my next video.